So, unless you've been living under a rock in the MMA community, you have probably looked at Merab's cut on his face that he posted on Instagram. And I'm looking at this in an interesting way. Now, obviously, a lot of people are criticizing him, saying that's going to be exploited in the fight. And, in the interesting times we live in where people do whatever it takes to win, I could probably see that Sean O'Malley would probably take that route, but I don't think Sean needs to take that route to find some exploit to get via doctor stoppage. Maybe. I mean, Sean does not care if people don't like his tactics. I'm pretty sure he just is pretty carefree when it comes to that aspect, where if you criticize him on, oh, what if it wins by a doctor stoppage? He's not going to mind anything. He's not going to lose a wink of sleep because he's laughing all the way to the bank. Why should he? Why care about honor? But I think Sean might actually take a different route. Now the thing about this injury that Merab has, I feel like both Merab and Sean are pretty smart guys. Merab definitely probably put that out there because he wants to bait Sean. But is Sean gonna take the bait? You look at Merab posting that right out there, and I think he just wants Sean O'Malley to know, hey, I got something right here for you. Especially knowing that, Sean O'Malley likes to use his right hand too. I think it's just probably too perfect of a setup. And if Sean takes the bait, that puts him in a position where Merab needs him where he needs to be. Maybe a takedown distance, something that makes taking down Sean a little bit easier. Because the thing about Sean O'Malley, it's not easy to get him to the ground. His takedown defense is pretty good. He wants to keep the fight on the feet so he can throw bombs in your face. And by that, I just kind of mean he wants to throw power shots, precision shots. Let's face it, Sean O'Malley is probably one of the best strikers that bantamweight has, and his long, lanky build for that division really gives him an edge. I think, honestly, he could move up to featherweight and have a battle with Ilia Topuria if Ilia Topuria beats Holloway, which is probably going to happen. I'll make another video on that one later because we're going to see that fight later this year. However, with O'Malley, I really don't think he's going to take the bait on that one. I think he knows how to play that game, so he knows when someone's playing 5D chess or 6D chess or whatever the internet calls it nowadays. So, I mean, Sean probably doesn't even need that exploit to win that fight. I think and honestly, I know a lot of people are going to be mad about me saying that because a lot of people still love to criticize Sean. And you know what? There's a lot to criticize about. His first defense was against Merab, and a lot of people think that he's taken an easy route, but he did beat Sterling pretty convincingly. So, let's give credit due where credit's due. That title shot was legitimate. He got a clean KO, and now looking into the future fight, yeah, he has to beat Merab to fully prove himself, but he's gonna prove himself, in my opinion. I honestly have a lot of faith that Sean O'Malley is gonna prove himself and, show what he's made out of. Because a lot of people just love to hate on him, and he's going to want to make sure that there's no room for hate anymore. He wants to make sure that people have to give him his due respect, because that's the thing about the MMA community. A lot of them want to withhold any sort of credit, and they'll always move the goalpost to find a reason not to give the fighter they're rooting against any sort of credit. So if Sean doesn't even take the bait, that's his smartest bet, if the bait is the bait. Because I'm not saying that I know this is what Merab and Sean are thinking. This is just me skepticizing, I don't even think that's a word, from an outsider's perspective. And if O'Malley doesn't take that bait, he could just do what he needs to do. And if he gets clean shots in rounds 1 or 2, I definitely favor Sean in this fight. It's the later rounds where Merab has that gas tank for the whole 5. That's where we're going to see Merab really shine. But I don't really know if Merab's actually going to make it that far in those rounds. Or who knows? Sean might get creative, do a little bit of both. He might wait for the second round to exploit that cut after Merab's not thinking about it after the first round. And you know what's going to happen is he's going to look for that way out and maybe just get more hate and more trolling on the MMA fan base. But that's my psychoanalysis of this whole fight, because that's just what that post brought up in my mind. I was thinking there is a deeper meaning here that I'm just being neurotic and I have to skepticize on this one. I'm going to use that word again, but I'm thinking that there is just this mental game going that's going to be taking part in the fight that's really going to matter. Now, is the gash still going to be there by the time the fight rolls around? I don't know, but it's definitely worth just testing that. If Sean wants to load up that right hand and deliver one to the right side of Merab, to the left side of Merab's face, we'll see how this plays out. But if some scenario like that in that ballpark happens, don't be surprised.